call the meeting to order. Brad, Janice will be here today, am I correct?
I got an email from him this morning saying he has a doctor's appointment and that he will be here as soon as he can.
Okay. Okay, so Tina, you are administrative up first.
Okay. First thing I have are the minutes of June 25th and June 29th.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of June 25th?
We'll make a motion to accept the June 25th minutes.
Okay, a motion by Kent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. All in favor, say aye.
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 We have supplements today. So these are for the tax roll that has not yet gone to tax bill. So these are just for review. They were in your packets, but there was no signature required on these. So
You said they were in our packets?
I
But
believe
they
so.
weren't. I don't think
I
they were.
think there was a letter.
Oh, there's a summary in your packet that shows, sorry, yeah.
Okay. So they're just for review is what you're saying? at this
Yes,
time.
that's right.
I'd like to review.
In relationship, I mentioned last week on that property on Main Street over there, Tina, about Peabody. Could we get Susan Robinson to give us a clear letter, or clear, just a statement, whether it should be locked up by the county, whether she's issued a letter to the former owner, I would just like to know what's going on, because I'm hearing things from the former owner. Yeah, so.
Okay,
that's-
I did mention to Susan, she says the county does own it. There may be some confusion because I believe the treasurer's office has sent delinquent letters out again to some of the owners, even the former owners, even though the county now owns the property.
Okay.
So, but
That
I can
could
have
be-
her.
That could be the problem, I don't know, because one worker from that owner said they've got a letter that's delinquent, so,
Yeah,
or that they've got so much time to pay, so that's.
when that's not correct. And
Okay.
I think that those letters were sent,
Okay.
so.
Do those letters, they don't go through your office after they go through the,
No.
there's-
So I can have Susan come in if you
Well,
want
I
her
just-
scheduled to come discuss, but I believe that's what happened.
Okay. Well, this attendant's telling me this thing, he wants to get in and clean it out, and this and that, stuff. I said, well, I'm telling you that, as far as I know, the county owns it, so. That's my problem that I'm up against, that I would like some definite knowledge of who owns it, and whether the county should lock it up or do what.
It's probably a good idea to hear from Susan.
Well, I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only person I'm gonna rely on, because she's supposed to be handling it.
Right.
Okay.
And so, but I see how now if there's a letter went out for late taxes, I can understand what they're talking about now. Okay. Well, this person come back with that, well, I still own it, I've got a letter. So, they didn't say what the letter said in it, but he said we got a letter, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Should have paid some taxes before, they wouldn't have that problem.
Mhm.
We have an early check.
And this is for F service for road and bridge transport fuel in the amount of $19,420.92. Just one, or is that just one? Did you these?
Yeah, but,
Oh, I'll have.
Tom, would you send that around, please? Thank you. We did have a notice from Courtney Bain. It's dated June 29th, and it was in my mailbox in my office that after our commission meeting was over on that day. But she was notifying you that she had appointed Susan Robinson as special prosecutor while she was out of the office from Saturday, June 30th to Friday, July 6th. So that's just for your information, a little belated. But we have a resolution to begin the new tax sale. This is from Susan. This would be 2018-18.
So this will be resolution 201818, and it's an amended resolution of the Board of the County Commissioners of Marion County, Kansas, to authorize judicial foreclosure and sale of real estate. Do I have a second?
second.
Second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
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 So you intended yours to be a motion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think that was in our packet, though I remember reading
Mhm.
through that.
It was. We did receive a petition to annex some land into the Water District number 4. And so this was delivered, so the board actually needs to set a hearing date on this. And we will send a notice to the Water District and to anyone else that we're required to notify. But this is the petition, which is signed by more than half of the landowners in the proposed annexed part. And a lot of the proposed annexation area is in McPherson County, but part of it is in Marion County. And so basically the action that the board needs to take at this time is to set the hearing date and time so that we can send a notice. And if it works, perhaps that could be done on the 31st of July on the pay day meeting. Is that okay with everyone?
That's fine with me.
Okay, let's get a time figured out.
So-
Excuse me.
Their district is improving, or they just
They're expanding.
Expanding.
So it would be basically pulling more properties into
Right.
the district.
And they're gonna offer some water to these people with signs, is that what the whole deal is in their district?
Basically what happens
Or
is
is this for the?
they've done a petition, so we have a hearing.
Yeah.
After the hearing, kind of depending on how things go there, then those boundaries can be changed by resolution. signed by the board here. Okay?
I guess that's, when we have the hearing, maybe that's time for me to ask these questions, then maybe of what's going on.
Well, and Susan Robson is the one who is representing the,
Okay.
and submitted the petition. And so it has been signed by all of the directors of the water district. There's a stack in here of Marion County landowners. There's a stack of McPherson County landowners. There's also sort of a map. It's not a great map that kind of shows what the
Okay.
boundaries are now and what they would be. And if it's approved and you all adopt the resolution to approve it, then that would create potentially a difference. We'd have to go through and review the taxing units. It may create new taxing units based on overlaps of other district boundaries. So it will, then there'll be a pretty big process of going through and making sure that is all correct on our system. But you're welcome to look through this.
Okay.
I'm not sure on the 31st what time you would want to set that hearing for.
I'm available the whole day, so whatever works.
Whatever works on schedule.
Mhm.
Right, do you want to put it at, right now, there's space at 10 o'clock, there's, 11 o'clock, 10:40, there's quite a bit open on that day at this point, so I think that whatever you want to do is fine.
10:30, 11, whatever.
Does hearings work well during the day for people that work? I mean, should we have it in the evening? I mean, I don't know, I'm just saying.
For the most part, I think you've got your signatures of your landowners. I don't know that you would, Susan didn't seem to think that there would be much to the hearing itself, but it's either way. You can set it whenever you like.
Okay. Well, I don't have a problem with the time, I was just asking that question if anybody wanted to appeal or anything, so.
And when you say there's taxing district overlap, is this the drainage area, or is this a rural water?
This is rural water district. So they're expanding,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so they'll be taxed now for that. And basically, yeah, it's where all the other boundaries, like school districts and different things overlap. So we'll have to, it may potentially create a new taxing
The
unit.
reason why it's new, because in the Peabody district, I don't know that they're taxed for a water district, are they?
Mhm.
They are.
Well, in some place, I don't know. I mean,
That's what
if they're within the boundaries. Oh, maybe not.
That's what I don't know that a water district, I think they're self-supporting, I think, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, there shouldn't be no
But-
tax.
Okay.
But I mean, there's probably, I can't imagine there would be any encroachment on another water district.
Well,
See,
that's-
we're gonna,
yeah.
just,
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be something that I don't know where that
Yeah.
overall district is
Right.
up there.
Did you,
I'll look at it later, go ahead. I'll just
Would you
come in and
wanna
look
go
at
after
it.
it?
'Cause
are you going to see?
Yeah, yeah,
okay, so, do we want to say 10 o'clock?
fine, yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm happy to get any district out here for rural water, we don't wanna fight. I don't wanna have arguments between two districts.
Okay, so I've got the information filled in on the date and time, and I'll just have each of you sign here.
Okay.
And then we will notify whoever needs to register.
Right.
No. Okay, that's really all I have. I do need a small executive session later for a medical leave request, but just before the end of the meeting sometime.
Okay. So you say that's all you have for administrative, Tina?
Yes, for right now.
Okay, so next is Jesse Ham.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, Larry Beck, 1 year promotion raise.
Okay, so Larry Beck is a traffic sign foreman,
Yes.
and he goes from $2,777 to $2,830.
Thank you. I have a permit here for Mound Ridge Telephone. They're wanting to put some fiber in around 90th and Chisholm Trail. The third page on that kind of tells the locations that they're going. Also, they left a note on that I want you guys to be aware of at the bottom. The work, it said in the note that due to problems, they had to have it done by the 9th. I called and confirmed to make sure that that work had not been done yet, and they did say that they will wait until this was signed before they do the work. So, they also have contacted me saying that they have a really huge project going on with a lot of fiber going on in the Gossel area here in the future. They asked me if they could just, I told them let's try to kind of keep it simple. Let's do one permit, but they need to leave, like that third page there, they need to leave in detail all the spots of where they're going. Because it's going to be, they say, a 6 to 8 month long project, putting fiber in all in the areas.
Is this at the church corner?
Yes.
Looks like they're on the east side of the road, or the east side of the road, Bourne.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not under a blacktop or anything?
No.
Okay.
Well, there should be I believe they're born underneath.
Yeah,
one
they are.
part of it.
Yeah, they are. I had the road, I don't see north, south, east, west here. It's gotta be, the church, it's gotta be on the,
Yeah, it goes, as long as they bore. Dig our ass for them.
yeah. I see a couple, two or three different things.
Yeah.
What's all happened, is it 3 different times?
Yeah, that third page kind of tells you how many feet they're going, which directions.
Are they doing the entire city?
Well, right, they're south of Gossel,
This is that church out there, 90th and Chisholm.
out there in the country.
I mean, I just wondered if that was.
Yeah,
their plan.
they said they got a whole bunch of new customers, and plus ones that they need to provide internet and phone access to. So yeah, they got a 6 to 8 month long project coming up. This ain't the one, but they're trying to get prepared for what's all that.
Just, I would definitely sort of
You know,
Watch
examine
it.
it.
Yeah, we're
watch and
definitely
see
gonna
what's
have
going on, because that's under the new blacktop there, but
So do you know that they will be boring and not leaving
Correct,
it?
yes.
They will be?
Yes. And they're a company that follows by our guidelines, yes.
You work with them.
Yes.
Okay, so we just need to sign this? Do we need to take action on it? We just need to sign it?
Usually you
Just
just
like-
sign it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Before I get into this, a week or two ago, you three had asked me about crack sealing 330. I had reported to you that we usually don't do that until fall or spring. I called Circle C Paving. They will get us a quote on that, or a price on that, but they will not do it until fall or spring. It's the only time, best time to be able to do that, so. But they will work up a price for me on that, okay? Now, what the? I got two of them here. These are the reports from Cook Flat Strobel on Nighthawk and 60th. I have two more coming tomorrow. So whichever one does not want to, two of them are going to have to choose to take them home. And I will get the third one out to the one that doesn't receive one today.
I'll let you go ahead, let you guys have the two, and then you can just get me the
Okay,
other.
I will. There's, if you go to the second last page on the cost estimate area,
Cost estimate.
you'll see the grand second to last page of that section. You'll kind of see.
Where was that at, this, cost estimate?
Yeah, go to the second last page. It'll kind of give you an estimate of the project total. Thank you. Now, I've tried to do a lot of reading. I just received this Friday, so I have not read through everything yet. Right now, they're pretty much pricing everything. Redoing ditches, all the culverts, pretty much all the culverts. That's one thing I wanted to make sure everyone understood is there's going to be we're going to cut some costs on that a little bit because I already have all the culverts in stock for this Nighthawk and 60th project. With me assuming maybe there's a chance that we could do it, I wanted to be prepared and have that stuff in stock. And they are sitting to the side, whether this project happens now or if it happens 5 years from now, but those culverts are sitting to the side. So that's kind of one cost. I figured up around $190,000 on culverts there, in boxes that we'd be cutting off. There is some areas where there needs to be some ditch work. They also have in there acquiring some right of way in some places if we want to try to lift the road higher or something. It's stuff that can be talked about, but I think there's a lot of ditch stuff that we could do ourselves to cut costs as well. I think you'll have to do some reading, but some of the reading I read, there isn't a tremendous amount like what situation we had for like Roxbury, where everything kind of just needs to be redone. But what they're trying to do here is 12 inches thick of concrete stabilization, 23-foot wide road. Because what we have now ranges from 22-foot wide to 22.5-foot wide road now. So it's 12 inches of concrete stabilization, 3.5 inches of asphalt over the top of that.
When you was talking about lifting the road, was you talking about the road bottom there? Is that what you're
Yeah. Down, I think like one spot was like south of 180th.
saying?
Yeah. That could possibly be one, but then I think you're gonna have to acquire right of way there to, if you don't, we can just leave it the way it is, or then you gotta acquire more right of way to, because we're gonna have to move, there'd be a lot of dirt that have to be moved, to build that road up even higher. Then that might start changing some things on the bridge to the north there of what we're, some of the, what do you call it?
What, your maximum water flow?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the word, but yes, it deals with the water that's going in there now, but I think that's some of the things you're gonna have to take into consideration building that up there, but
When you turn south off of the old highway and go south there to 180th and go across the bottom there, that area floods and washes out. You can see the rock on the side of the road where it's washed and stuff, if that's what they're talking about, building that up. My question, Jesse, I hope these engineers know what they're doing, because that's flooded across there for a lot of years. If we build the road up, is it gonna come back to the bridge and put that much more on the bridge then?
that's what their concerns are. They're like, well, if your riprap is staying, see, we have riprap along that road on the east side to hold the shoulder there. And the riprap stays. Every now and then we gotta go fill it in. But, they wanna kinda think of some other ways other than just riprap. If they just left it the way it is, cause they're thinking it's probably always gonna flood there unless you can get that roadway up. But you're gonna cause problems to that bridge by putting all that water over there. But they think there's ways to improve our shoulder than just what we have as far as riprap.
Well, I can see if you raise it up and block that water, block that spot off there, that somewhere you're pushing more water down through the bridge and stuff like that.
And that was their main.
It seems like that relieves it quite a bit when it does get up and floods the whole bottom. It seems like that relieves it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So right now, the total project that they're proposing is $7,132,000.
Yes. And I did call a bonding agency, and they're supposed to be getting back with me as well. It's another option I wanted to try to throw at you yet as well. I know we got a lot to talk about yet, and look over, but they said they're gonna get back with me. There is bonds out there for cities and counties. They just need to get their ducks in a row to be able to explain it a little bit better to me. So I found two different companies and numbers. So anyways, one of them's gonna get back with me on a little bit better idea there, because kind of want to remind everyone in 2020, 2 years from now, we will be done paying on the 330th of the West Tampa Road. And that's usually a payment of $330, $333, somewhere in there, $300-some thousand.
I think it's
I thought it was 234.
Is it 234?
Yeah.
Okay,
234.
230, I'm sorry, I apologize. But anyways, I was gonna try to throw as many options out there as possible.
Well, I'd sure.
And it sounds like there's something out there for us, I just don't know what yet.
I'd sure like to have two different opinions on the hydraulics of that. If we raise the road up higher than what it is, and we put that much more pressure on that bridge down there, it just looks like it might.
Kenny Blair with Cook Flat Strobel said he could be here on Monday the 23rd. If you three have questions concerning this book, I said that'd probably be a good idea. Come.
Let us take a look at it, maybe next week we can answer that question.
Okay.
What time? You guys have.
But so I take it, Diane, I need to get you one this week. Okay.
Well, if you're gonna discuss
Yeah.
it next week,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Well, I'll get it today or tomorrow, Wednesday. so.
Okay.
Are you gone?
Honey?
Are you gone or something?
No.
I only have 2 books, so
So, yeah.
I just need to get it to her. So. That is all I have right now.
Jessica, can you give me a little bit of an update as to what's happening on 330th going east? The project that you have going there,
Okay.
what we can expect as far as the timeline and what is happening, and then also on 290th, I know that they were doing some cutting out areas and doing some like blade patch, I think, and just give me an update as to what.
I'm not for sure if our blade patch crew has turned the corner on the East Tampa Road yet, but if there's still rock patches, we're heading that way. We've been by the Ramona area in Lost Springs, and we're going to be turning soon once Quail Creek is done and get blade patching over them rock patches and some other bad spots very soon. And then my chip seal somewhere beginning of August, middle of August is when I'm planning on getting the chip seal rolling for all them roads up north.
And that includes 290th?
Yes,
The whole length of 290th
Yep.
then?
all the way from Diamond to Highway 77.
Okay. And that'll be done pretty much in August,
Yeah.
as you see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know at some spots, they have some spots that they're still doing rock on, and some spots that, now I haven't seen the crews there actually this whole last week, but when they were there, they have some spots that they have already put in the patch, and then they have some that they're still just doing rock, and,
Yeah, we kind of had to go back on a few times on the rock, so we're trying to stick with blade patching right now, so
okay.
get that done so we can get the chip seal.
Okay. As far as the roads and stuff are concerned with the wind project, everything's going smooth up there that you know of?
That I know of,
Okay.
not hearing much talk right now, so.
Okay.
I heard most of the concrete's poured from K-15 west for the turbines. That's what I've heard recently. Most of them are. So
I know they
that
have
for a fact.
two plans.
So,
Okay. Okay. Just wanted to know what you,
have you heard any more about them wanting to do lights at the Tampa ball field? Because I haven't heard anyone. Okay.
no, I haven't inquired anything
Okay.
on it like, since I won.
Okay. Oh, speaking of which, Diane called me with a gentleman's phone number. Bill? Is it Bill Alcorn?
Yeah, yes.
She had a phone call. She sent it off to me. I called this Bill Alcorn. He lives right at the corner of 360th and Quail Creek.
Mhm.
If you turn east, he's on the north side, right at the intersection. Right in front of his yard is the rock gravel road. Because it is not paved going east. He called Diane, and Diane sent him to me, so I called him. He is wanting, when we go through there and chip seal, he wants us to go add another, I would say 500 feet of chip seal in front of his place. Just throw oil down and throw chips over it so he doesn't have to fight the dust no more.
Coming off the east 360th.
Yeah. He said a long time ago he had sand. It's gone now, but he waters it down during the summers. I told him personally I would not like to do it. It's, I said I will bring it up to the commissioners. I said I would be willing to throw sand down in front of his place again, since it's been so many years since he's had it. I'm just trying to think of in the future where we might run across chip seal. Someone lives at an intersection of a rock road and want us to go another 500 to 1,000 feet. I don't know, but he was okay with really whatever. I just told him I'd bring it up with the commissioners. I would prefer to rather just throw some sand in front of his place instead of throw oil and chip down in front of his place, but kind of leaving it up to you three what you want me to do.
I mean, the longevity of that wouldn't be
I'm not,
too long.
yeah, I'm not, the longevity, I'm kind of concerned about that. It's just another thing we're gonna have to probably eventually go patch up. With so much traffic right there, with trucks and everything, that's gonna get tore up pretty good, I think, in the future. So,
Wind farm traffic through with that far?
I don't think so.
No.
but
So what was the result of that conversation?
The result is that I would come to you three. If you three did not like my idea of just putting sand back down, then you three can tell me go ahead and chip seal it.
Well,
So-
sand's necessary, whether immediately probably anyway. That intersection is, you come roaring up from the east and coming in there, and there is a fog trail coming into that, with that intersection. I agree with that.
If you don't mind, I'd like to do the same thing instead of throwing oil down and chips. I just see maybe future problems in the future, other people wanting that same thing done. Does that intersection ring a bell to you, Diane?
Yes, I
Okay.
just drove on it the other day when I went back to the little fair.
And you know that place right there?
Yes,
Okay.
right in the corner is his place, and I did look at it as I
He
was
just-
driving by.
He
Yes.
just moved over there. He did live over on the other corner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He lived on the other corner where the big house is on the southwest corner. Now he's
Oh.
on the northeast corner, correct?
Okay.
That's what you're
Yes.
talking about,
Northeast
northeast corner.
corner.
Yeah, he just moved in, bought that and moved over there. I don't know, maybe his son or something lives in the other big house on
Okay.
the other side. He's just a new person there to that corner.
Go ahead.
I guess I don't mind putting down just the sand as long as it, takes care of the problem, but
Let's see if it does.
see what happens.
We'll try that.
For the first time.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh,
You have something, Ken?
Any possible trainings coming up?
Not right at this time, no. I have not got into that, no.
Yeah. I was just curious, is there someone in the department that would be qualified to do a little training within the department when it comes to maintainers? I mean, not to say just pull somebody off of a route, I'm just curious, do we have anyone that would have that type of skill base to say, I can dedicate one day a week or something to him to do training? I mean,
Well,
and that would be up to
as-
your discretion.
As far as a class and seminar,
Well, I mean, like a hands-on.
well, that's where I'm mixing it up on my rebuilds. I'm getting veterans as well as greens mixed in, and everyone rotating equipment. Blades, rollers, water
Okay.
truck. That's what we have implemented. It's not just all veterans doing my rebuilds. I've got to get everyone to be able to be confident to do a ditch and stuff like that. So I guess in a way, yes, I have older gentlemen or guys that have been at it a long time. As far as like class seminar and a professional coming in.
I'm
doing-
just talking
No,
about
I-
the hands-on.
Yeah, a lot of guys when it comes to class, they're trying to get them to talk in front of guys they
Well,
don't know.
I understand that.
Yeah,
Yes.
but no, it seems to be working well with them alternating
Okay.
in and out of equipment, helping, teaching. It's kind of what
Okay.
we've been doing.
Very good, okay. And one other issue that I'll bring up to the commission was brought to my attention by the Whiteman family, which owns north of the reservoir rental storage.
Yeah.
They are expanding their operation to, I'm taking for granted, they weren't able to attend this morning, east of where their rental storage there.
The new building in
Yes.
the corner?
Yeah, they're putting in another one on their property. That is on a dirt road. And, of course, the county informed them that they would have to pay for that. And, their issue was, we are a commercial business paying commercial tax rates. And just wanted to know if there would be any help from the county on that. We're in the midst now of looking at 2 new draft resolutions to address those situations. But I did say that I would bring it to the attention of the commission and see what the thoughts were.
That, if anyone's wondering, that's Pawnee, going east of Pawnee on 220th.
It is.
Yeah. So there is a little bit of rock there to the first entrance of the storage building. I think he's wanting to build further east, which is what he said on the dirt road. So we would have to connect where the rock is now,
Right.
further to the next
Right.
new driveway or wherever it may be.
Yeah, and I believe you quoted, or the department quoted them $850 for the rock.
Yes, my supervisor, I called him and he said he quoted him $850. He has not, we have not seen the money, so we have not done
Yeah.
anything yet.
How long of it, for $850 a rock, how long are we talking here? Is it,
I think we're talking quarter mile or less. I don't have the figures in front of me. I'll let my supervisor take care of that. But eighth of a mile to a quarter mile,
It's not,
somewhere there.
can't be very much for that.
It's not very far from my understanding of where the new storage building is going.
because the numbers kind of don't add up to me. If it's $15,000 worth of rock per mile, normally speaking, if this is a quarter, then that would be at least 3,000.
Correct. So it's not even a quarter, yeah,
So even if you divide that in half and it's an eighth, that'd be 1,500,
okay.
not 800.
Well, I'll do the figure and I'll refigure it, but,
Yeah,
and like I said, no work's been done yet, so I can refigure that.
okay.
Does the ditches on that road need to be pulled and stuff?
I have not looked at it recently.
I haven't either.
But
I haven't either. And they're going back up on that little hill?
I think
Like that?
so,
Yeah, there's a hill right behind it to the east
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Well, and of course, my thought is you gotta be fair and equitable. I mean, we can't charge some people to build the base and not others.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it to the commission attention because it was
Okay.
called in.
I think if it's, if we build a block or whatever it is, can't be too much more than 2 blocks, I wouldn't think, at the most to get back.
It's not very far,
Yeah.
but,
We
you know,
build the base and.
they want to
rock
have,
it,
you
well,
know, I see their point, they want good access for the customer.
Yeah, and I'd sure like to have a good base or a good road there before you put rock on it. I mean, there's no use in just dumping rock on it without building and pulling it, make sure you got good drainage.
Okay, so you're saying that we pay for the base? Is that what I heard you say?
Well, I'm just saying that a lot of times we've done that, built the base up, and then the person rock it, pay for the rock.
So what did you do, or what do you plan to do on that new home right there on Limestone that's going on that they paid?
We built the base there.
Well, I mean, we
You're not done with that?
reshaped the road up,
Okay.
and we're putting base rock down that they paid for.
Okay.
And then waiting on Mother Nature to rain a little bit, because I don't have the equipment to go in there and water it and drive it down, so I'm waiting on more rain to hopefully my blade man can get over there and keep packing that down, finding the soft and weak spots yet, and still apply more base rock before we cap it with top rock.
Mhm.
Which one was you talking about, Diane?
I'm talking about, what is that, 320th?
I think it's 320th going west
Going
of
west of
Limestone.
Limestone,
There's
yeah.
a 3/4 mile stretch in there that
Mhm.
I think they,
What did we do for that house we went up and viewed there? Didn't we build that base through there and then they paid for the rock on that?
yes.
And how much roughly did they pay?
I don't know. Well, you guys just set a number at $4,000 at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long do you know that?
There was culverts involved in that too, but
Was that what, like a half a mile or something? It wasn't very long either from that corner
I would
up.
say just a little over a quarter mile, something like
Okay, a
that.
little over a quarter mile.
Yeah.
And they paid about 4,000?
Yeah, I remember there was a $4,000 number on that.
Mhm.
If there was some culverts involved, that would
Yeah.
be, yeah, those 2 down the bottom down there.
Yeah. So, and his entrance as well, entrance culvert, yeah.
Well, I think building the base is all consumed. When you talk about building the base, you don't divide it out. You built the base.
Yeah, I mean, just reshaping it, getting a crown, making sure we have good drainage, and and then pretty much really all I've been charging is the rock, not the labor of us. I haven't been figuring in the labor of us reshaping the ditches or road, just the rock itself is what I've been figuring.
Mhm.
And that's what we've been charging and people have been paying,
Okay.
so.
Well,
Um,
I'd like to continue that. That's what we do for everybody else. We build the base and
I guess you're confusing me again. We built the base?
yeah, we build the base, yeah.
Okay,
Dirt
so
work.
he is saying that we reshaped the road
We shape the road.
and put on the rock, and that's all included in the price that people pay?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah, okay.
I mean, they're paying for the rock, yes.
Mhm.
So on this Whiteman deal, I'm guessing we're gonna have to work on the base a little bit.
I
before
would
we
like
rock.
to take a look at it and make sure if we need to reshape it and whatnot, before we just go throw rock down, before we just waste it, you know.
Because when that building was built, they've shaped up to that entrance. I mean, they've got that shaped already. I don't know how far east it goes.
It doesn't.
It just stops right there, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's
you're
what
gonna
I-
have to clean
Go
out
up
the
the hill.
ditches and everything.
And it is a hill up there. isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And then, if I remember hearing correctly, they're gonna put their entrance on top of the hill, so there's no culvert needed there for the entrance, so. I know he told my supervisor, Jess White, or Mrs. Whiteman did, he has a commercial permit. I checked with Emma, he has a conditional use permit for storage units, so I don't know why he's saying commercial, but, I mean,
It's gonna be taxed, right?
Just the way he
Yeah.
stated it.
so. But he's been telling people that, so I just wanna make sure everyone knew it wasn't a commercial permit, so. And I guess I can go out there and look at that and see try to make sure that price is right and stuff, so. And see what kind of ditch work needs to be done too. Try to have that by next Monday for you.
That good, Kim? I mean, that.
Yeah, I just told him I'd bring it up.
But yeah, I mean, my personal opinion, I think if everyone else has been doing it, I think we probably ought to try to follow the same suit. Haven't had too many complaints about what they're doing on that, so.
And you might communicate to Jess or one of those brothers, I don't know, well, I know Jarvis, what your plan is,
Okay,
so they'll know.
all right. Sounds good.
Okay, so we're pretty much staying consistent.
Staying consistent.
Okay. Okay,
That it?
that's all I have. Do you have any other questions?
Just, as Diane asked, we've got blacktop roads everywhere in the county. What kind of plan you got? We're heading in the last half of this hot summer now. And there's holes everywhere in our county, blacktop roads and stuff. We've got to cover the whole county, so.
Yes.
Is that what you continue to do, just,
I just really need to get my chip seal wrapped up, but I do have to get down south. I've got to get to 30th, and depending on Nighthawk, what goes on there, but there's some other, the 60th, I also got to get out by the Gospel area as well.
yeah, it's a whole county.
Very concerned, I do have concerns trying to get everywhere, what I got, but,
It's gonna be tough, I mean, it will be.
yeah. So,
You usually just have one patching crew.
yeah, because we only have one oil distributor, so.
So Jesse, when you're doing that blade patch and you're cutting out those areas and things like that on a stretch of road, why is it that, so you have a bad area and you cut it out, and a couple feet down there's another where it's starting to break up, but that they overlook that and they move on to the next area cut out, and you drive down there a little ways further and here it's breaking up again, but that's not touched. Why is that the way it's done?
A lot of times, sometimes in this hot summer, sometimes we're doing it while we're there, we're creating the problem. The biggest thing is I'm trying to find my worst areas because I've run out of time. I'll never get to chip sealing. It's a picking and choosing. I'm not saying that that's the way to do it. I'm just trying to get some jobs done as quick as possible, but yet I'm trying to get good quality. It's just sometimes when we're there in the hot summer, we start creating with all of our trucks and everything right there in line, we'll create even more of a problem with subgrade, or it'll show in the asphalt. And then all of a sudden we have to go backtracking all the time. There's some that we do leave alone where we feel it's just, like on East Tampa, there's a lot of spots where the asphalt just popped up. Popped up, and there was not a subgrade, so I left it alone, and we will blade patch those spots with with black cold mix over that. So with the blade patching, we will get that, and we already have to backtrack on a few places because some other places are popping up already. But I know what you're saying, and it's not most 100%. I just trying to find ways to get the jobs done.
And so I bring me up to this one more question. Noticing that in what you just said, I noticed, okay, so from 330th going east to Quail, we just did that exact same job last fall. And I don't know what that whole thing, but there was a week or 2 weeks or whatever it was that the guys were on there, dug that all up, and did just what they did 8 months later now. So
And that's what we were doing on the
are we
Roxbury Road.
saving money
No.
really by doing this like
No.
this? I mean,
No, I mean, the best thing to do is grind her up and turn it into rock road for now until we find money to, see, the only thing there is rock road and a chip seal. You got so many farmers out there. You got heavy equipment, our equipment, you got farmers' equipment, cattle pots going up and down. All it is a chip seal, oil and gravel down. I mean, on top of a rock road is what it was. So we're not talking that we have 2 inches of asphalt or 4 inches of asphalt at all. I mean, obviously we have base issues, so right now 2 to 4 inches asphalt wouldn't be good right now on it either. But the ideal thing is grind her up and put it to rock until this county, we can come up with money to maybe stabilize it with concrete and put asphalt. I mean, I think that might be our future.
That road base was built 6 to 8 years ago. I would say 6 to 8 years ago, that little East Tampa road from Tampa East. And-
Somewhere in that
And we
time.
had it to that rock base. The lady, I can't remember her name, she worked up there, possibly Faye up there, but she's the one that come in with pictures of her place and the rock and the dust and all that. But the base is there. I mean, we built a base underneath at one time. Now, all we did is chip seal. Well, we laid two inches. I don't know if we've laid 2 inches of blacktop on it since then or not.
No.
Just chip seal.
It's just a chip seal.
Okay.
So there's no asphalt on it. I mean, and you're right, we're wasting our time and we're wasting our money. That's what was happening with the Roxbury Road. We were there, that's where we were spending our whole summers with our
I think the Roxbury Road and the base was built and the Tampa Road was built about the same time, within a year of one
I
another.
think so.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That's the difference. You got to have some base over there.
so, and I'm just wondering this, so basically it's like $17,000 a mile to do a chip seal.
I don't have that figure, but,
Okay, and then that doesn't include the patching and the blade patching, does it?
oh, no.
That, okay, so that's extra too.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
Yeah, we're wasting money. I mean, I'll be completely honest, we're wasting money because I know they're gonna blow out again. And I know I'm putting a chip seal on that it's gonna blow out again. It's unfortunate, but
Jesse, can I ask a question? Why don't you guys double chip seal?
we do on when it's a fresh gravel road, we do double chip seals. Because chip seals are not, does not structurally build a road
Right.
tougher.
Yeah, I
It's just,
understand.
all the purpose is try to seal up the cracks on the roads to prevent the water from getting in.
Well, I just talked to my cousin who's a civil engineer up in Atchison. He just said, for it to last, you need to do double chip seal or you're wasting your money.
Yeah.
You may as well not do it.
Well, some of the roads we've done in the past, singles, I feel has been good. You double it up, then it's, I mean, I'm already, trying to do 40 miles a year, rough. This year's 44. That's about $600,000, so you might as well add another $400,000 to $600,000 if you're going to do a double chip seal. It comes down to money again.
To your question, Diane, you said, why does this spot look like they just moved on and left it? Sometimes I agree with Jesse on that, but I think a lot of it is we all three commissioners would like to see areas worked in the whole county. And you just take from July to now, I don't know that a crew can cover the whole county adequately with one crew and do what you're talking about, because I think it's a push to get over the whole thing and try getting some done. So I think that's been some of the reasons why you may see a hole. I'm not gonna say there's not that exact thing. What you see there is some of that just pops out and it looks ugly. I mean, because it just turned loose and there's your rock base underneath of it. Well, why didn't they touch it? Well, the crew might have felt that they was either gonna move on or I don't know whether exactly what they felt like. But from patching a hole, covering that up and moving on to a spot that's just chip popped off is,
I just won't get done.
yeah,
I won't get done with other parts that need our help too.
yeah. I think that's one of the big
But
things.
I do try to do, especially if a rock road is going asphalt, I try to do the double chip, well, we do the double chip seal. The only thing I will do different is start putting primer down on the rock before we shoot our oil. Right now I'm seeing results of where we didn't lay primer down and it's just popping up from the rock. It's not sticking, so that's one thing I will try to implement next time when we have that. But yeah, I mean, you do a double chip so you're gonna gain a little bit more thickness for sure, you know, which will give you a little, what I call asphalt or, you know, but yeah, it never hurts the double chip seal. It's just more money.
What do you have now? Do you figure 60 days, 90 days?
To get this done, yeah, I mean, September, if it starts getting cold in September, I'm screwed,
Yeah,
because I won't get the
right.
things, well,
And that's, and you can see that 60 to 90 days, we've got a big county.
So going back to this East Tampa road, I mean, is it more cost effective to turn that into a gravel road until we come up with the money to do it right?
that's where, I mean,
So let me ask you this question instead of what he proposed. Would it not be more smarter to maybe do half as many roads and do them correctly rather than do a lot of roads and then have to redo a lot of roads? I mean, I'm just thinking maybe if we cut, I know you want to get a lot of roads done. I know we have a lot of roads. But I just don't see that it's smart to know we're doing them wrong, to know they're not going to last, and to continue to do that. I mean, can we do half as many and do them right?
then the only thing I see that, I totally understand what you're saying. But then, let's say I'm working up north and I took all of our time doing it right. What about all the holes creating down there? Because we don't, or to the south or to the west or east, that I want to try to get to. I mean, I know I'm not going to get to all of them right now as it is, but at least try to throw some blade patch over it until next year. Maybe we can find time to get to it next year. I don't know how to, I don't really know how to,
But there's still going to be a lot of roads, so you probably won't get to it next year because next year will be more roads and more problems. So that theory isn't going to work
I'm
probably.
just trying to, the amount of miles we have for asphalt and the money and the equipment and the amount of people, I'd like to do two things at one time, have two distributors, and, but that's just, everything's money. God, whether you rent it or even buy another distributor, one crew could blade patch, one crew could chip seal, but then I need all them people flagging and roll it right and roll, then I need double rollers and, but I mean, I see what you're all saying, maybe doing half of what I'm trying to do, but I just don't know how to get to the parts that are turning bad in other parts of the county without trying to at least address something each year on all them spots.
It's a battle to continue to,
You know,
to do that. We just seen a $7 million estimate for, just for one section there.
I did a quote on the Olney Road this year, the 3-mile stretch from the church to Sunflower, right down here. The base is gone, we got rock patches. I did a quote on, I'm not gonna tell you who, but just to do just grind her up and just throw some concrete stabilization in it and just leave it blank until maybe next year. Next year I'm gonna be chip sealing down there. You know, that 3 miles is around 300,000, 325,000 just to grind it up and put concrete stabilization. But I thought maybe that's something we could look into when I have these situations. How much would it actually just cost just grinding them up, turning rock or concrete stabilization? Now everyone's saying don't do it if you're not going to put a seal over that concrete, but kind of a believer right now in that concrete stabilization.
I thought some of the engineer told us when we was talking about the remote, or Roxbury Road, that we could leave it for a year.
I know there's
If we
parking
didn't get
pads
the
in
blacktop.
Wichita where they've done that, and semis are over it, they didn't do anything, they didn't put gravel, they didn't put chip seal,
Didn't put no gravel over it at all.
nothing, and they left it, and it's holding up great, and that's, you know, those are just parking pads, but that's heavy equipment coming in, and it's held up. That's why I'm so confident about that process. I mean, even if it looks like it's dirt or gravel, we still have, it's still a hard road, and then the following year, probably go throw a chip seal on it, you know.
Or do we have the capability of putting down a concrete stabilization? No, we have to hire that now, even if it's dry. Because it would seem like that would be a, you know, when we're doing a gravel road rebuild,
Yeah, I do.
I mean, then you're making it more of a long-term project.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that's the future. I mean, a lot of people have been going to it, and that's,
I did not get to see it laid down. What is it laid down with, a laid down machine?
a machine I can't explain.
Okay, okay.
So it's just basically a machine that injects that.
Yeah, and you have only so much time. I think it's, well, yeah, you only have so much time to make sure you get it mixed. That's another thing, mixing it with your bow mag or whatnot, and adding, throwing the water and getting the road shaped.
So we're not talking about one piece of equipment, it would
Correct.
take two or three.
Yes.
In order to start that process within our own department.
And that's why I was curious to see what 3 miles would cost me for that process. You know. But yeah, I mean, there's quite a few roads I'd turn to rock right now, Diane. Just for the purposes of trying to save the county a little bit of money, just because it, but I know how people feel. It seems like we're kind of going backwards instead of forward by turning things from asphalt to rock, but I do know we're wasting money.
Was it your first year here when we was the year before you when we passed that road with the railroad money? You remember?
I don't,
Okay, the railroad built that siding track and they gave us some money. And we spent some of that putting a lot of just blacktop patch on top of that only road. And it's just what Jesse's saying, it's about like the East Tampa Road. It's doing the same thing where you don't have no base. I mean, it's chipping out, it's got rock patches in it and stuff like that. So I don't think we spent over 75,000 or 100, I don't remember what it was, but just to get those 3 miles traveled after the railroad got their equipment out and stuff like that, so.
But it would be nice, you know, to move forward with a plan that we try to move away from Band-Aids as much as we can.
I agree.
I know there's a cost to that.
I agree. I just don't, I need some advice or help with, I mean, unfortunately, everything comes down to money, seems like.
Sure.
The most upsetting thing going into this year is knowing that my chip seals and blade patching really isn't gonna do much good up north of the problems that we're having. And I'm fully aware of that, and I think you three are now, but it's just, I don't know what else to do to try to keep up with all these asphalt roads.
This asphalt, or this cement mixing in is just something that's really just come to us here in this last couple of years. I mean, we'd heard of it before, and we've seen it on Highway 50, but that didn't last on Highway 50, but that was a different type stuff.
I think that was a different process.
So anyway, I mean, Kent and Diane's both on the right track, we've got to try something, somewhere.
Isn't the wind farm using a concrete?
They use concrete stabilization even on some rock roads, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Not
some
everything,
rock
but
roads.
yeah.
Not all the rock roads.
No, I'm
but
not
few.
saying, but they are using it somewhat.
Some. But they say that their rock roads, the ones that they don't even use the cement, the way they built their base, that you don't know the difference, which road has the stabilization and which one does not. They're both built right, and they both last years.
And they're also putting it really thick.
4.5
Yeah.
inches of rock.
That's their base rock's a lot bigger than that. Better.
Well, I think you're using a lot similar, a lot of 2-inch that we're using for base rock, and then capping it with something smaller. but they're just putting it so thick. I mean, they built up some roads that's so damn dangerous. I was looking last week and this weekend. It's a big drop off around these intersections and stuff. If they go off the side of the road, they built them up so high. Oh, it'd be a heck of a fall for a car, so.
Okay, Jesse, well, appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Jess.
Yep.
Okay, Isaac,
Good morning.
morning.
So, I have a couple of things today. From the last time we met, we've had the Bluegrass Festival, which went very well, in my opinion. We did have, talking to some of the people involved that have been involved for the past 11 years, attendance was down a little bit. Probably a couple of reasons. One, there was the $5 charge this year. It was hot, and it was a little windy. But that being said, we didn't have any issues. It went really smooth. We had made a little bit of profit, which there is a couple of things that we're looking to put that towards. I know in the past they've done a movie night a couple nights a week during the summer. And they've had a projector and a screen set up there at the stage. One year they did it at the beach, and that was borrowed from one of the trailer owners. But I guess that was a big hit with a lot of people here in Marion, and they really enjoyed it. So we might look into maybe purchasing one of those with some of that profit, along with a memorial bench. Randy, you might know him, Montague Jim. He was a big help in the crappie derby for a long
Yeah, I wasn't involved in the property there.
Okay.
I know who.
Okay, yeah, he passed away. His son, they're from Salina. His son comes down to the Heater Dock all the time. They were looking at, and they're in the process of trying to get donations of building a bench out there at the lake. So we might help out with that as well. 4th of July, it was good on Wednesday. Boat traffic was high, camping was down a lot. And we were talking about, I think a lot of that is 4th of July is on a Wednesday this year. It's a lot of work for people to get off on the 3rd, get everything set up, come and camp the 3rd and night of the 3rd, and then have to leave on the 4th to go back to work on the 5th. But boating, swimmers, all that stuff was good. So, and then again, you know, we didn't have any big problems, which is always a good deal. A big thing that did happen though was the night before the Bluegrass Festival, June 15th. I got a call. It was like 3 in the morning. Somebody had hit one of the pillars on the bridge. It was the pillar completely blown up. It's gone now. All the rock fell down the hill. We've got a quote to fix it from Jack, who lives out there at the lake. He's worked on a couple of the stone buildings, and he's worked on the pillars before out there as well. The whole process, there was an accident. Everybody ran. Truck was locked up. It was destroyed. So we had to get it towed out of there and all that night. And so they're going through a process there with the individual that hit the pillar. And so we did get a quote, and so there's a couple other ones that need repaired as well, we believe, just from erosion. A couple of the stones have fallen out on the bottom. They almost look like they could topple over as well. So we're looking into that. Along with that, we've started the big cutting down the trees and spraying on the backside of that dam there, looking for holes and all that stuff to try to keep any problems from occurring there on the backside of the dam. Another big thing, and there's two really important trees there in the trailer park that need attention. And it's been brought up to me multiple times. And they do need to go. They're completely dead, and kind of where the point is now is if they do fall, it's going to hit something bad. Whatever way it falls if it falls one way, it's going to be an electrical line, and if it's the other way, it's going to be a couple of trailer houses. We've gone through them all and looked at it. There's what we believe 2 trees that actually need to be taken out completely. And then there's another 2, maybe 3 that just need a little bit of attention, trimming up, and stuff like that. I did get, just to kind of get an idea, because I have no idea how much cutting a whole tree down would cost. They were saying it's going to be about $400, $450 a tree. So I'm guessing the total amount is going to be over $1,000. So I don't know if we want to put that out for bids or what would be the best option there. And we have all the trees marked. We've gone through, kind of figured out what we needed done. But yeah, I mean, it's.
Well, I think we do need to put out bids if we're gonna do that.
Right.
And I'm gonna ask you a question,
Yes.
since you identified 2 that are really bad,
Yes.
and what you say, 2 that need attention.
Just, yeah, trimmed
While
up.
we're there,
Yeah.
the wise thing, in my opinion, would be they should just all be topped.
Right.
Because they all have problems
Yeah.
in one way, shape, or the other.
Mhm.
And if we're liable, that's a liability to us.
Yes.
But that would be, while we're there, that would be, what, to me, the wiser thing to do, to
Yeah.
top the ones that aren't,
I agree.
but anyway.
All of the trees you stand where we're at, exactly.
Right there at the trailer.
Oh,
Just at the
all
trailer.
on the west side of the trailers?
The ones that are great big, and the great big overgrown ones, yeah. They go in and top them, and then they cut out all them dead branches and all that big other stuff, and then they kind of start all over again with fresh new
Yes.
branches that.
Yeah, we talked about it, and it was one of those things. It's been brought to my attention a couple times, and then they were here a couple weeks ago. The wind, I mean, they were saying 60-mile-an-hour gusts, and it's just like, if it did fall, it would just be a nightmare. So it'd be nice to get them taken care of, I guess, as soon as possible before something like that does happen. Yeah.
Well, my suggestion would be to go ahead, like you said, get a bid, get your trees total, put it out in paper, get you a bid started on the
Okay.
project for the trees that
Okay.
you're gonna do. Topping, I have to look down where that's at, but probably need some out there, I'm not gonna say don't. But I'd get Jack on, get him started on getting that, there's surely gonna be a settlement out of insurance or
Yes,
something.
yes.
Pay for that.
Yeah, and they're going through that process right now. We just turned over our side of it, and so, and he said, I just had him kind of go out there and look at the other ones. There were 2 that really on the back side of the dam there, they're missing,
Blocked.
yeah, a couple of blocks that about 6 inches in. And he said that'd be super easy fix since he's not actually having to build anything. But that one's off at the ground, so.
Do we need to have more than one person look at that too?
That was, I don't know. He's the name that I've got that's worked on
Sure.
a couple of the buildings out there.
Mhm.
If we definitely could, whatever you think. He was the only one that I know that has really done the work out there, and so that's who I got a hold of right away.
Sure.
But we could.
I'm just wondering, since you said there are some other damage and things happening to some of the others as well, I'm just wondering right there at the dam, if maybe it would be smarter to have somebody else also look at it
Right.
and give us an idea of the cost. I mean, it doesn't cost anything to do that.
And we can do that. Next big thing, the bait machine. We have it, we've got it set up, plugged in. Adam and I have been working with it the last couple of weeks, figuring out how to program it, all that stuff. We have it, what we believe, all figured out. Now we've been looking into purchasing items for the machine. Last time we talked, I know we had a quick discussion about sales tax and stuff like that. We do have to pay sales tax on the items that we sell out of the machine, which we can keep track of without a problem. My question was, as far as the items inside the machine. I know he had, John had minnows and stuff in there. If we don't want to get a bait permit, we don't have to do that. But I didn't know, there's 40 slots in it. And talking to people, there's a couple of items, night crawlers, chicken liver, stuff like that. Some stink bait that they would like in there, and that does not require that bait permit. But as far as like tackle items, and I brought this when I brought that thing, and you can flip through it. That's just kind of a simple idea of the way that they not recommend, but just an example of how to set it up. And there's a couple of pages there. It goes down on the top. They have just a little basic tackle items, and then it goes down to like night crawlers and bait. But I didn't know if there was anything that you'd prefer we didn't have or did have while we're looking into making our purchase for items to stock that way.
You would have the best idea at this point of what
Okay.
you need.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty much what I want to know, if there was just anything. I know we talked about no bait permit, which that's easy because it's just minnows and stuff like that, so we can do that. We have got the boat ramps filled in with rock, so that's been a sigh of relief. We haven't had any more trailers fall off the end of that. We too need rain. I know we've had a couple of docks this year have gotten damaged from they're sitting on rocks, and what's happening is really on the weekends when all the boats are out there, it'll raise the docks up, and when they come down, they're hitting rocks, which right now there's not a lot we can do. I know a couple people have extended their ramps to put the dock farther out in the water, but we need rain really bad.
So have you looked at some of the docks that need repair?
Yes.
Some
we
of those
have.
docks are in sad
Yes.
shape.
So far this year, there's been 3 that have been completely rebuilt. There's 2 that I know of right now that are under construction.
Okay.
One of them, he's in a tough situation along with me. We talked, because according to the rule book, May 1st is the day the docks either need to be repaired or have to have some kind of plan worked out as to dates they could work on it. It's a super nice dock he has. During the winter, I'm guessing it was ice or something, had shifted it, which had broke his whole walkway down. And he's got a concrete platform at the top with his support and all that in there. And it's just kind of tilted and snapped. And I spoke with him, and we talked back in May, and he was going to fix it. Well, the problem is if he were to fix it right now, his whole dock would be on rocks. And with the way his walkway is. So he had asked me if we could wait just a little longer to see if anything would happen. A couple of his floats have come out of the bottom of his dock when it was up. And so I gave him permission. I said we can wait a little bit longer because it is a super nice dock, and he's put a lot of money in it. And it's not one that has been neglected. He's just in a hard spot to try to fix it right now with how the water levels are. That being said, there are a couple others that still do need attention. And we spoke with the owners, and we've talked about it, and they do have a plan to fix it. Which brings up that last situation there with that boat ramp. And I spoke to Mr. Brown about it, and he informed me that he believed he had a conversation with Steve and that Gerald had done work to it. After a conversation with Gerald, he said he had never done anything with it. I don't know if that is our property or not. I told Mr. Brown we can take care of it in the meantime. And so there's a boat, yeah, so there's a boat ramp right if you're on the north side of Lake Back Bay Court. So there's the Stone Arch Cove there that goes back on the north side of the lake.
Mr. Brad,
Yes.
Jim Brad.
Yes.
Okay, now I know where you're at.
And
Okay.
there's that little, and I don't know if it was ever used as a boat ramp. I have pictures of it. If you,
Oh, you guys might need pictures. I happen to know.
It's in a cove?
it is, and it's up in between two homes on the north side of the lake, and it's, according to him, he has always mowed it. Somebody, and he thought it was us, put rock down. After speaking to Gerald and Adam, and then they said it was not us. But what's happened is the rock got put down, and now he can't get his lawnmower down there without spinning the tires, and he took it down there and he got it stuck, and he had to pull it out with his truck. It's not very steep. I mean, I wouldn't want to put one of our mowers down it, but we could easily hit it with a weed eater in 10 minutes, which is what I told him.
Is your gully still there?
Yes, yes,
And we don't know who owns it, right?
no.
That was just an individual that put that in at one time. huh?
Yes.
I think so. It's what it looks like, and I mean,
It is.
it's back in that cove, so I mean, you could really put maybe a kayak or a canoe or maybe a paddle boat on it. You couldn't ever back like a real boat up into it, but
Oh.
I mean, and it is. I went down there and I was looking at it and talking to him, and there is rock that's put down there, and you could see where his lawnmower, he's got a little rider lawnmower, was spinning the tires on it, and he couldn't get it up. We don't know who put the rock in, and he claims it's, well, I know, because he was telling me he had his property staked out. It's not his. But what's going on there exactly, I'm not sure.
Mr. Bratt's place where he lives was a garage for a landowner. The landowner lived on the other side.
Yes.
That landowner come in and built all those retaining walls like that.
Yes.
Clear back to that garage side.
Mhm.
I think Mr. Bratt might have even added some lately for his house.
Yeah.
Because he bought it up for the building of the house.
Right.
But, yeah, the guy that originally owned that built that. And for whatever reason, it was allowed. That's been 20 years ago. Been quite a while.
So, I mean, I can try to call and figure out whose it is and then call the landowner. I told him in the meantime, we could hit it real quick. I mean, it wouldn't take us long at all. But, yeah, for the long term, but it is an issue that's been brought up multiple times.
I don't know
That's
whose property it's on. Who owns whose property it's on, whether it's on, actually on Brad's or whether it's on the other guys. On the other side.
And would that be a question for the appraisers to figure that out?
You might look there, that'd be a good look. Go
Okay.
start, see what they can show you.
Okay.
See. There's an easement down through there that's right in the road, where the road would go straight through.
Correct.
Might be an easement down through that. I don't know.
Okay.
Is that all?
That is it for me.
Okay. Number one, on the camping, on the Bluegrass weekend.
Yes.
What I saw, you was almost full in the camping area.
Yes, we were.
I mean, so that's one thing, Bluegrass people was down on numbers, but the camping was up there.
Yes,
I don't know
it
about
was.
any other place, but right behind that.
Yep. And so the Bluegrass Festival, we had one spot that was open as far as camping goes on the whole lake with hookups. One spot
That's
open, which
all
is
you had.
very good, yeah.
That's almost 100% full almost.
Yes. And that wasn't tent campers counted at all. That was just the hookups. So yeah, that was really good. I believe last year they said they estimated around 600 people were there. They didn't have a real way to count just because this year we sold 425 wristbands to get in. So, I mean, that was a good estimate as to how many people were there. So, yeah, and I mean, it went really smooth. Like you said, it did bring a lot of people in, which was a good thing.
Number two question I have is, has each one of you commissioners been contacted by Mr. Rassler?
Yes.
And I wonder if the commission, it's our question, I think, my feeling is our question, whether he's willing to sell it to us, the county, to be put in out there, to bait for, start something out there, the way I understand him.
Everybody wants to sell?
Well, his conversation with me was just, if we would consider selling a little tackle.
Yeah. He also has the Hillsborough, he bought the Hillsborough.
Right.
Right. Supply, and he'd be willing to sell it for us to start out there if that's so be the commission's desire. And I said, well, so my opinion only is the hours were open would be the only thing that, the office hours is not going to be there just to sell tackle. It's be office hours for the lake. So I thought maybe we might be able to make a decision on whether we'd be interested or not.
I'd kind of like to ponder on it one more week if I could. I didn't really think about it at all.
Okay, yeah. And as long as I get back with him and tell him that's what's going on.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make a decision on it next week. I just haven't even thought about it.
Okay. Yeah, I thought he expressed that maybe to all of you, that he was willing to sell that.
Yeah, he just told me that
Okay.
he'd like to see us offer,
Yeah.
because he brings kids out there all
Yeah,
the time, I
right.
guess, too.
Right. Well, I'll think about it, and I will get back with him and let him know we're thinking about a week and give him a definite answer Monday, next Monday.
Perfect.
And just a real quick note, like with that, he came and spoke with me
Oh,
as
okay.
well. Yeah, and the conversation that we had is if we were to do something like that, and I know the office hours was a thing, a lot of that stuff, I guess depending on how we want to do it, if we wanted to buy it all, there's a lot of stuff in there that we would probably not ever restock, you know.
Have you seen the stuff?
I have, yeah, and it's, a lot of it is, it's really good stuff. And I mean, it's pretty much everything you would need to get everything up and running. But as far as inventory and all that, you could see, you know, some of the stuff is gonna sell a lot. Some of it's probably not gonna sell as much. And he has, the inventory that he had is gonna, I mean, it's gonna pretty much fill the shop. And some of that stuff, Adam and I were talking, you could put it in this machine outside and sell it outside for evenings or early morning.
Each one is, you can designate a price for a bin.
Yes, every bin you can program for a certain price.
Okay.
And so, yeah, some of that stuff we could throw in this.
Okay.
But yeah, that's just a little thought, and because he does have a lot of items.
Okay.
And some of them are gonna be great, some of them I won't sell a whole lot of, so we can kind of keep track of what's selling and what's not, and if there's some stuff we just, once it's gone,
Yeah.
yeah, it would,
Yeah, get down to your basic stuff.
exactly.
You know, I would be okay with that if he could go through and pick out the items that could go into the machine, that you know would sell or whatever.
And, yeah, and we didn't talk about that, you know, as far as I understood, he kind of made it seem like, and I don't know this, but he just wanted to sell it all to us, which I think is a big part of why he purchased it, in hopes that we could take it over, because he brings a lot of kids out there and people out there, and it's nice to have that stuff, so.
Is the commission wishes that once we start something like this, that there's a separate log taken, so we know whether we're profitable or non-profitable, or is there concern that way to the commission?
Carl has a question.
Is there any real reason to have those bumps out there
Oh.
on the driveway there at the office, you know, in front of the trailers, those speed bumps or whatever they are? I mean, we got high schools, grade schools all over the county that didn't have them. Why do you have those out there?
Speed bumps?
Yeah,
It's, the speed bumps was before you. was
Yeah,
put in.
yeah.
yeah, they're more aggravating for people pulling the boat through there, and the motor bounces, you know, I see no reason for one myself. What do you?
I never gave it a second thought.
From
I just
my
know they're
understanding-
there to slow traffic.
Yeah, that I was gonna say, from my understanding, and
They've been there for years and
Yeah.
years, and
I believe they put them in there because of the
Well,
trailer park, and there's just a,
try to stop people from speed, but people anymore, I think, you know, you don't have them in front of schools. Little
Right.
grade school, they're running across
Yeah.
all the time.
Right.
I just,
Okay. Well, we'll think about that,
Okay,
see what we can
yeah.
do with that.
I think that there's two, right? There's one
two
up.
or three, there's
Yeah.
one clear down and maybe just two of them.
So,
What
Randy,
do
what
you
was your
got?
question? Well, I never thought about it, Carl, they never gave me a second thought. I mean, of course, I never go in there with a boat. Thank you. I don't
I
know.
know I followed a boat through there the other day and that outboard, you know, just bang, you know, and he was going slow.
I'll pay closer attention next time I go out
They're
and
about,
see.
about that high when they drop off.
Must not have been too important, I forgot it already. Changed
Well, you
my
had a
thought.
question about the debate there, that was putting them in the machine, oh, the sales tax.
Profitable.
Profitable.
Profit, profitability, that's what, yeah, whether we, you know,
I'm under the impression that the only reason why we're going this way right now is to provide a service.
yeah, that's. okay.
That's what I thought was our
Yeah.
goal, is just to
Right.
provide a little bit of a service and convenience.
Mhm.
That's where I thought we were going with it.
Yeah, and I agree with that, I'm just saying, I don't wanna spend 2,500 and only get 200 back.
I don't either.
And so that's why I'm asking that question.
Mhm.
But I would think if you set up that stuff on a spreadsheet or something like that, Excel or something, it would be fairly easy to track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so.
But you're not talking about buying all of it from him.
No, I don't know what we want to do.
Okay, well, you're
It's all for sale right now.
It's all for
That's-
sale.
Yeah, it's all for one price right now.
well, we could have bought it ourselves over there, right?
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
and it may be still at the same price he's offered. I don't know.
you don't know.
I don't know
But
that.
in so saying that, there would be some things, as I understood here, that you would be willing to pick and choose that you think would be beneficial, and then some things that maybe not.
Yes, and speaking with him, I don't know if he'd be willing to sell it like that. If he would want us to come in and pick and choose, because then he'd be stuck with a bunch of stuff that he didn't necessarily want. But kind of what I was thinking is, if you were to, it's not that everything that you would purchase, you would have to restock. Like, let's say there was something that took a whole summer to sell out of. Once it's gone, you could just count that out. Okay, we're done with it. But there's also going to be things that you sell more of that you would want to restock. And so that's, I guess what I'm saying is, if you buy all that stuff, you wouldn't have to keep it all.
Right.
Once it was gone. If you did want to narrow down your actual inventory in there for.
Sell it to get it gone, and then once it's gone, it's gone.
Exactly.
So what did he give you a price?
No. I had a price from John when I first went and looked at it. All I-
5,000 total, everything, wasn't it?
5,000 for all the tackle plus the machine at the original time, yes. Yeah, and I know, speaking to Mr. Rastoff, he said he went through every single thing that he had in there, and retail price was he said about $12,500 for the retail on everything he bought. So he said he actually has a big booklet with everything that's in there, and the amounts and the retail price.
The only way that I would be willing to go along with that is if we would be able to buy it at the same price we were able to buy it right over there, John.
Okay.
I mean, because we chose at the time not to buy that.
Right.
So I didn't want to buy it now and have somebody make a profit off of it. You know, I mean, when we could have bought it at the lowest price possible from the start.
Right.
And whatever reason why we made a decision not to buy it at the time,
Mhm.
I think we need to probably live with that decision,
Okay.
is my thought.
That's the final answer.
That's my final answer, yes.
Okay.
So do you want to talk to him and wait a week, or?
Yeah, I will get with him and see what he says.
Okay.
Bring him back and see what the commission wants to do with it, whatever he wants to do, what he's got. Get a price and see what he says, because I don't have a price.
Yeah, and I didn't either. We didn't talk about that. He just let me know kind of that he purchased it from him and that he would like to
Okay.
get it to us, and that's kind of the conversation we had, so.
I mean, if he has it and he brings kids out and he's gonna use it, then why doesn't he want to keep it and use it for his own purpose?
Right.
Okay. That's my final comment today.
Okay.
On that subject.
Oh, shucks.
What else have you got there? Is that it?
That's my big things, yeah. You guys have any questions? Okay. So are we good to go ahead and put out for bid on those trees? Okay. Okay.
If you have an emergency, just for you being new, I know, so the commission knows, if you have an emergency with a tree deal that you need to get rid of, you know, it's broke off storm-wise, you have the right to go get somebody, you know, just get who's ever available to get the situation taken care of. Okay. And then, whatever that situation is, get it done and then stop
Right.
there.
Yeah.
You know, tree on a trailer or something like that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about it.
In the case of an emergency, you always have to do what you have to do.
I was wondering on the bridge pillar, is that a dangerous situation? Or
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
that's the one question
Okay.
I had, because
As
what,
we-
it'll take time to go out and do bids if we need to get it done sooner. That's my one question.
Yeah. I wouldn't think so. I guess my only, well, yeah. You couldn't fit through it unless you purposely tried, and even then it would still be really hard with the gap in between the two that are still standing. Right. So I wouldn't say it is a dangerous situation.
Unless you're on a moped.
Yeah, moped might be able to fit through there. Because, I mean, it's completely gone. There's nothing there. If you were to drive over it, you wouldn't feel it. Speaking with Jack, it did kind of seem like a lot of that rock, though, would be reusable. It's just all spread down the side of the hill there. So we might get a little back from that. But, yeah, it's gone. And somehow that's the only one that was damaged from the vehicle was the one, so.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you guys. Okay, yeah.
So, let's see. It doesn't look like Mr. Jansen's gonna make it today, does it? Have you heard anything at all?
Well, he texted a while ago and said he was on his way, so
Down at the end on the desk.
I don't know where he was on his way.
He went highway 50.
Where?
50.
What? I didn't hear what you said.
She said
I said he went highway 50.
Chad McCullough.
Chad, glad to meet you. Matt Becker.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Chad McCullough.
Hi, nice to meet you.
He's Keith's replacement.
And Keith left?
Yep,
Yep, he took a job with an engineering firm that's based out of Dallas, but
Really?
he's gonna be in their Tulsa, Oklahoma office. So,
Cool.
Leaving Kansas, going to Okie.
Well, he was born in L.A., he told me.
Oh.
yeah,
Grew up in Colorado.
yeah, Colorado
And
Springs.
moved to Kansas, so he moved it out.
Yep.
Okay, what do you have?
We're not as far along as what we'd like to be with the situation, so I'll let Chad take it then.
These are site plan and a grading plan that, we got the survey done about 3 weeks ago, I think it was, and, no, I don't need one, I know it like the back of my hand.
Okay,
Uh,
alrighty. Good deal.
I don't know if you remember a whole lot about some of the stuff that Keith had shown you on top of aerial photos and things, but originally the new shop and office building were going to be right where the existing when we were out in the field. You know, one of Keith's last days, I met him over here, and we met with Bud. We were talking about possibly moving it away so that way they still had a place to operate out of and maintain equipment and things like that while a lot of this construction was going on. And you know, if we tear down their existing shop and build a new one right there, there's going to be a period of time where they're just kind of out of commission. So we've moved it kind of north and east over into an open area over here so that it can be built first, and that way they'll have a place to move all of their tools and equipment and all that good stuff, and they'll still have a place that they can operate out of while the the construction on the actual transfer station itself is going on, so. And then one of the other things that we had, after we moved it over there, we started talking about, boy, it sure would be nice if we could take the trucks and drive them straight on through. So, you know, that opened up an opportunity for us to gravel that north side, and then, you know, they can come out onto Washington that way and not have to do a lot of backing up. But if you've been to very many transfer stations, backing up is never a good thing, because stuff always gets hit with a lot of backing up. So those are some minor adjustments that we've made to, you know, kind of what we're planning for the site itself and how it will work operationally. The second drawing is more of a grading plan that shows the new water service line coming up to where the new shop and office will be. Will come off of the end of the existing sanitary sewer main, use the same connection that's there now because it was replaced not very long ago. That way we won't actually have to tap the main. Come off of that existing connection and come out away from this existing building and over to the new building, and there's electric that is right here at this pole, and the gas runs right over here, so those are easy connections right there off of that gravel street to the east. So, and then all of the proposed grading contours, just so that we could figure out how we were going to grade the site to make everything work, so that we could get everybody up to the new transfer station and still get everybody in and out here. And there's going to be a wall here in between the two that's probably going to be 8 to 10 feet tall in some places. But anyway, we wanted to get far enough to where we could figure out how we could make everything work the way that Bud and his guys want it to work when this is over with.
And you guys.
So, you know, that's kind of where we're at right now. You know, we've got an architect that we use a lot in Junction City that, you know, we plan on getting on board. We've got a structural engineer that used to work for us but now is out on his own, but we use him a lot. And then mechanical, electrical engineering firm in Manhattan that we use on all of our projects. That, you know, the kind of the next step in getting the cost estimate refined to where, you know, what Keith had put together was, you know, higher level, not a lot of details, you know, throwing numbers out there that were, you know, hopefully safe, but, you know, getting these people involved, you know, the grading and the drainage and the retaining walls and the utilities and that kind of stuff, we do that every day, so we can estimate that part pretty close. The building part, which is on this kind of project, the most expensive part, you know, we kind of need to get those people involved because they'll have a better idea of how much those things are going to cost, so that we can get the cost estimate refined to a place where we feel a lot more comfortable, you know, telling you guys, you know, what you can really expect to spend on the construction part of it. So.
Is there a timeline about when we might expect those?
Oh, another 30 days, you know, we can get them involved and bring, you know, I'm going to bring them, especially the architect and the structural, out to the site since we're using so many pieces of what's out there already, you know, so that way they have a good understanding of, you know, what's got to be demoed, what's staying, things like that, because it's a little trickier than just building something completely new when you've got to keep the operations moving. And, you know, we're keeping this wall up to this point, but then, you know, we're going to saw cut it and get rid of it from here on. You know, it's just a little bit trickier. So I want them to tell me how much things like that are going to cost, because we don't do that kind of stuff every day like they do. So it's a lot of money. You guys need to have a good idea of what it's really going to be. So, but, if I was to tell you something now, it'd be high, just because I didn't want to get expectations up that it was going to be a certain number, and then the bids come in high and everybody gets surprised and is scrambling to figure out how you're going to pay for it.
So you say about 30 days.
So, yeah.
And relationship underneath, do you know what you got to demo?
Well, on the underneath portion, you know, one of the things that we talked about when we were out there a couple of weeks ago was filling a lot of that up with flowable fill and just just leaving it in place.
Are you talking the old or
The
where
old,
it's gonna
the
be
old.
demoed?
Well, it's gonna be demoed,
Right.
you're gonna, you know, I don't know what's there, but in relationship, there's the basement over here where the pit is, it comes back underneath there, and I don't know where that wall stops at.
At the wall.
It does stop at the
Yeah.
wall? Okay,
Yes.
so that's the support
Yes,
wall for the
that's
bus.
the support wall for the above, yes.
So then from there on, where you're gonna demo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's underneath where the old truck is,
Yeah.
the old truck pit over there, and
Right.
that's where you don't like to go down and get underneath there.
Yeah, 'cause it's full of slobs.
Yeah, and that's what I'm in relationship, I wonder what kind of base it does have down underneath there and stuff, are you thinking about filling that, or you, but that's where the pit goes, right beside
Well,
it.
the
Yeah.
pit goes right beside and it'll have to be filled, that area will, so the floor level is the same, you know, from the old to the new.
One of the line items that Keith had in that kind of phase 2 part of the engineering contract is the geotechnical, where we'll come out and drill holes. And we can go in there and core through the concrete and drill down there and, you know, have a boring log that tells us,
Okay.
you know, from here to here it was this, from here.
Okay.
So if there's something like that down there, we'll find it when we do that part of it.
Okay.
But we've got to do that anyway for the foundation recommendations to give to the structural engineer so that he knows how to design the foundations on the new part and whether or not we're going to tie that to the foundation that's there on the parts of the building that we're keeping, things like that. So that's the plan, at least.
Okay.
We wish we were a little further along. I know we lost a little bit in this transition from him to me, but we've got a good idea of what we want, and 99% sure we can make it all work conceptually.
Right.
It's just that the building details itself, I would like somebody who does that kind of stuff regularly to put the estimates together for that stuff, because, you know, for us, we do a lot of it that's private. You know, there's a lot of contractors who would bid on something like this if it was private, but publicly funded with tax dollars, it's gonna have to be competitively bid, and they're gonna have to have certain levels of insurance requirements, certain levels of bonding, and there's a paperwork component to all of that stuff that some of those guys just don't wanna mess with, and so, you won't necessarily get as good of prices as you would if you were building a metal building out in the county somewhere, just for somebody locally, because they're going to have to meet all those requirements that are in the contract documents, and so you're talking about bigger companies that have more administrative and bookkeeping functions that they've got to pay for to keep up with all that paperwork. So,
Okay.
All right.
Well, I appreciate it.
no problem.
Let us know when you have
Thank you.
the big answers.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll get with those people later this week, and then we'll probably schedule another site visit. So
That's fine.
it's become a tourist trap.
Yeah,
It's getting more site visits than it probably ever has.
yeah, we're gonna be in touch, I know.
All right,
All right, thank
sounds
you.
good. All right,
Thank
nice
you
to
very
meet you guys.
Okay, Mr. Drews, now you have your update.
Yeah,
Go right-
we're
go
going
right
along
ahead.
real well with spraying of the noxious weeds in the ditches. Johnson grass harissa, it's a headache and a half. We've sent out quite a few notices that people have it on their property. Got a good response from most of them. I think we only had one or two that haven't responded back to us, and of course we'll proceed with what we need to do there. Transfer station, everything's going good down there for now. HHW, we had mobile pickup Saturday in Gossel. Big Lakes was down with their trailer picking up the stuff that we usually have them come and pick up, so it's part of our contract with them that they come and pick up and help us out on the mobiles and take away what we aren't going to get rid of ourselves. And it was a good turnout. We were busy the full time we were down there. In fact, they started coming in about a half an hour early, and we're apologizing, but we tell them that's no problem, that's what we're here for. So, and then recycling, it's still the same. I don't have any figures for you yet, but I would like to comment about the article that was in the paper. It said in there that I told them the figures, and I did not say anything about the figures that was in the Marion County Record. I got a phone call, and I said if I had time, because I was working on a weed truck at the time, And I didn't have time to get back, but it says right there that I said that's what it was, and that's not what it was, so, just so you guys know.
Well, join the crowd.
Yeah, so anyway, it's still going good. But we are expecting the grant money bins to be here at the end of this month, and they will get put where they need to go, and I will get my figures done for you guys and get back to you on what it is, and,
Well, I'd like to see that people start paying money back. I mean,
Yeah.
let's get the recycling, but
Right.
who knows how long that's gonna be.
right, it, you know, China has us all messed up, so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
blame it on China.
And thank you for
But-
making that statement about the figures, because people say, well, right there it is. And
No, I did not state that, so I don't know where they came from.
No.
I guess I could make the statement like my president does, but I won't, so. So anyway, that's all I have.
Thanks, Buck.
Okay.
Thank you, Bud.
I'll let you know when I hear some stuff from Chad and keep you updated on it.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. So, Mr. Jantz has made it. And so at this time, I had talked to Brad late Friday evening, and so I want to bring up a little something different. I was hoping that he would have been here a little earlier because we had some space on the agenda, but he was unable to do it, so this is fine. So I'm going to alter the schedule just a little bit. Tina's, your executive session is still happening. This gentleman right here, he's not even due yet, so we're fine. So what I want to talk about is some of the things that happened on Friday in the IT situation, when we went into executive session on IT. And after talking to Jad, I had some conflict with going into executive session, as you all know. I was kind of torn, were we doing the right thing or not. And Tina did assure me that you were well aware of it, and you actually gave me the statement to say before we went into executive session.
On purpose,
And-
yes.
Yes, and Tina did provide that to me, and I read it. But the problem that I still have with it is, even though we went into executive session in good faith to do exactly as our statement had said, there was also a line on there that said all financial terms and bids relating to the same, as well as decisions regarding the award to subsequently be evaluated, would be an open session. And I will take responsibility as well. When we went into executive session, we discussed all the finances. That's exactly what we discussed. We were handed this spreadsheet. I don't know if you had a copy of it or not. We were handed this spreadsheet, and that's what we discussed when we went into executive session. We virtually discussed very little proprietary information or security at all. So I am conflicted with that. I think although we went into executive session with the proper intent, as you laid it out, but once we got into executive session, that's not what happened. And I'm deeply troubled with that. Then, as we went on into executive session, as you can see in the spreadsheet, I'm sorry, yes, and I don't know who made this up. We had a third party that Tina hired, Mr. Chris Williams. I don't know if Tina's office made this up or
No.
if he did. Mr. Williams made it up? Okay. Mr. Williams, the third-party consultant, made up the spreadsheet. Just learned that. Okay, that's fine. As we're in the executive session, what happened was we went through each and every bid proposal based on the price and compared one from the other to the price. And without having anything to really go back and really solely on my memory here, went through each bid proposal. Pretty much we did eliminate a couple, but that was something we done. Said this company will provide XYZ for X amount of money, but this company will charge fees for this company will not charge fees, this company will do this company won't charge you that, and back and forth, and that's how we compared the different proposals. After we were pretty much through executive session, and we got down to like our third bidder, a statement was made which kind of stunned me, And that was that our consultant that was hired by Tina is actually working with one of the bidders, Great Plains. He is a subcontractor of his from time to time. They work together periodically, and he was very knowledgeable on Great Plains. I will also say that looking through the Great Plains bids, what struck me odd was, even though he was a outside consultant, I said something to him, and he said, "Oh, no, Diane, I clearly exposed that in the bid sheet, if you look in the bid sheet." And so it was like 2 pages from the last that he did put in who he was and that he did actually work with Great Plains, which indicates to me that he was not, that he either had something to do with preparing that bid or he prepared the bid. Because for his statement to be in the midst of the bid left me, excuse me, I have the floor, and he, it was just the way the bid was put together. It wasn't the last page, and it wasn't a separate page. But that's a speculation on my part. The part that I'm trying to bring out is that he works with Great Plains, and in his bid, it was interesting to me that one of the things that Great Plains will provide is they will expand some of the existing storage already ordered with drive assistance from Blue Valley. This man worked with Blue Valley, so he already had profitable gain in this. Because if we would select that bidder, he would be working with it to install this particular product. I felt that it was a definite conflict of interest. And then the next thing I want to bring out, well, actually there's several things right there on that really disturbed me with the fact that that's the way that happened. I also would tell you that as we went through all of this right here, this company will do this company won't do that, and this one's going to charge you fees, and this and that. And finally he said, and you'll notice Great Plains is all included, and we know how he works and everything, because we have that past experience, okay? I thought that was a little odd. So this weekend I actually went home and I read the bids. The statement that he gave us right here, the spreadsheet, is not accurate at all. Because it says on here, TC Wireless, under the term, none stated. Yes, it is. It's right in their bid. It also says here that response time, which we are, of course, expecting a 30-minute response time. It also says not stated. Yes, it is. It's in there. The same thing with all covered, which is Minolta bid. The same thing. The response time has been definitely exaggerated on this sheet. So the information that we were given based on, and he was flipping through all this, and I have to make it also clear, all of these bids, we the commissioners have never seen any of these details on these bids until just before we went into executive session with them. So we had no clue what was in there. We had no idea. We went solely what we were told. And actually, if I would not have jumped on when I heard him say that he was involved with Great Plains, I do know that my other commissioners would have jumped on it immediately, and they wanted to, because as soon as we came out of the executive session, I proposed a motion that all bids should be rejected under the circumstances. Of course, my other 2 fellow commissioners fought me on that and totally disapproved of it. And as a matter of fact, Mr. Becker insisted that we need to jump on the bandwagon and hire Mr. Davies very quickly so that we don't lose him.
When did I state that?
At the meeting, you said that if we might lose him if we don't accept this proposal. Yeah. So.
I think you'd have to prove that.
Well, unfortunately, because we went on executive session, I can't. So the bottom line is we were given false information and not accurate information. And it was definitely biased. We also had some questions that Tina was taking down questions that she was going to call some of the vendors because some of the information was not clear as to what they would provide. And so he made assumptions, and I said several times, but you don't know for sure, those are just your opinion. He said, we don't know for sure. So Tina did say that she would take down some notes and call and ask some questions of the vendors, am I correct? We had questions, and you were
Yes, you
gonna
did
call.
have questions. I
And you-
didn't make any calls because when you came out, you didn't make any decision as far as whether you wanted to follow up, whether you wanted to discuss it again,
Right.
whether you wanted to accept any bids, reject bids, visit with any vendors. I asked you all those things, and so I've done nothing because
Well,
I was
exactly,
told
and
to
I'm
do
not
nothing.
saying that you did anything, I'm just saying while we were discussing them, that some of these, the point was that some of the things in the proposals was not clear to the consultant, and he was making assumptions as to what they meant, and so to
Well,
clarify,
and
you
he
said
brought
that
out-
you would.
He brought out questions that he felt would be appropriate for you to ask the vendors,
Well,
which is one reason that you hired,
okay,
that I
so
hired
the
a
bottom
consultant.
line is, with all these inconsistencies, I'm extremely troubled with the way this happened. I could go on for quite some time, but I am pressed for time today, so I'm kind of really going over this pretty fast. But I just really believe that these bids need to be thrown out, because I just don't think any of this was done proper. And I really feel bad that the way we went into executive session, we did not abide by your sheet, I'm sorry. It didn't happen that way. It was intended, but that's not what happened. So, I'll stop now, but anyway, if you have any questions, I can certainly answer them for you. So what do you say, Mr. Counsel?
I don't know at first blush in terms of that expanse.
Brad, I'd like to speak with you.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a whole completely different meaning of this meeting. We go into these bids, we don't know what we're gonna get into. We don't know whether we're gonna get into some of the IT technology that goes over there to the sheriff's office that covers a lot of, and then a lot of privacy stuff that covers here in the courthouse. So you go into these bids with looking at the equipment and looking what they're doing. And if you talk about something like that, that's why you go into executive session. That was the intention, and that's what we did. So Diane can say whatever she wants. She can feel about it whatever she wants. But yes, prices come out. We look at that too. But we're looking through the equipment to see, and if there's any questions to that gentleman, he was very qualified to sit there and answer that. So my opinion is we did nothing wrong. We did exactly what we were supposed to do. Go in, go over the stuff, and if anything come out that was public knowledge, why it was an executive session. So I thank you for setting up everything for us, and I feel completely different than what Diane does, because the gentleman he went over everything, he looked at all the bids. Some of them didn't come here to the building, some of them did, and stuff like that. So, you know, I think I have a different feeling than Diane does. So, thank you.
So as you look at the sheet right there, which is what we went by, I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory, whatever you think.
Yeah, these always get somewhat difficult because the whole function of what I wrote out and the intent was the proprietary element of things and anything that could be construed in a way that was a privacy protection. That's what the executive is for. The pure numbers or apples to apples in that regard, obviously that's an open session and should be. If you get into the hybrid element of that in a discussion hypothetically, and I'm going to leave it that way, in terms of an executive, where you reference them, you have to be very careful how far you go. But in terms of the proprietary portion, I still don't have any difficulty with that being an executive. I guess with what's been presented to me in the discussion that we've had, I can look through all of that and make certain recommendations to you, and kind of go back over all this and rehearse it one more time so that I'm giving you an opinion that's pretty sound and gone through everything, especially with what you provided to me today again. And I will do that because I think probably better that there's a number of things that were raised here that I probably should look at, I guess.
Okay, I appreciate that. We also had discussed that maybe it might be wise, and I'm throwing this out to the commission, we do have, COMA is very, I've been to multiple classes about COMA, And it's pretty broad. They never get into actual details like you would be faced here. So it's always kind of a nuance when you get into a situation like this. What do you do? I'm glad that you provided this for me. I'm sorry that I just overlooked that right there. All financials need to be discussed in public, because down here it also said confidential data relating to financial affairs. But if I would have had the time to really study it, which I didn't. But anyway, we had mentioned something. Maybe as we go forward and we go into executive sessions, maybe we should make sure that you're present for them to kind of guide us.
Based on where we are today, yeah, I think so. I mean, I just think, and you mentioned something that's appropriate. Any of us go to these sessions, and I go to 3, 4 a year. They intentionally don't give a lot of very specific information because each case is separate and different. And each one is case by case. Those parameters give us, all right, here are your exceptions. And then they require now statutorily, with the change in the law recently, that we give a very express purpose of what we're doing. And they do so intentionally, and they intentionally don't go into detail because they're like, every case is different. And you have to make that judgment on the spot in many cases. But without question, there's still a necessity for the ability to go into executive, because there are still things that, and again, they relate to each other. As an example, in this instance, proprietary interests can and do relate to competitive advantage, what a particular company offers, how they utilize programs, even if they're freestanding programs that they're acquiring, how they go ahead and apply them, how they go ahead and manipulate them, what they do with them. And they will tell you in most instances that's how we make our money, is knowing how we're going to do it and make sure it's more efficient, for example, than someone else, or how we're going to deliver the service to you, and we believe in a better and a more appropriate way. And they'll usually be the ones who also, I don't want that disclosed to others. And that's why that kind of a session I still don't have any discomfort with on that portion of it. But I always try to make sure that we delineate between that and that portion that's absolutely going to be public, which is when you vote on who we're going to use and the money we're going to spend. The public is fully apprised of this is how it was bid and this is what we're approving by way of expenditure. So it kind of, you're going to do that way each and every time. But I can dig through that one more time in terms of what was done and how we were set up.
I appreciate it.
See where we are.
Yeah, okay. That's all I want to do. I just want to make sure everything is up and up and give the other bidders a fair chance. And there is still 2 of them that I did not even read through, so I don't know, I just didn't have time.
And as I understand it, at this point, there's been no action taken on any bids.
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here and helping us through this. So.
I think that's your card. I'll get one from Gina.
Okay, that's great. Let's see. Okay, so, do you want to go into executive session, or would you, I'd like to go into she had an executive session she'd like to go into, and I know this gentleman right here is waiting. I'm sorry, but I do have to leave early today. So if we could take, you only have 5 minutes or so, you said maybe?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe we'll go ahead and go into her executive session and stuff, and then you can give your presentation after that, if that's okay.
Sure, we'll take a minute.
Thank you. The session, no decisions were made. At this time, I'm going to make a motion to accept the request for medical leave of an employee. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda, sir, you're up.
All right, I will not keep you, I
Yeah.
promise.
Randy,
Yeah, how are you, sir?
Good.
Nice to finally meet you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm coming. How are you? Okay, I won't keep you. I'm with EPM. We manufacture a computerized temperature control system. All right, sounds fancy, and by all matters, it is. However, The mission, there you go, there's my stuff right there that I sent. Pretty
Cool.
cool. And I've got that again for you here. The mission is to take a look at facilities. We like sheriff's departments, we like jails. The reason is because you cannot put those to sleep. They have to stay temperature controlled all day, all night. There are laws, et cetera, and we're familiar with all of those. The idea is we take a look at no cost to the county. We basically follow an electric meter, and the plan is, the overall plan, the overall view is to control what's there. We get rid of the temperature controls that are there, we control the equipment that's there. Generally, if we do not come with a plan to replace all your equipment, so this isn't a $1 million deal, we're gonna use what's there, we're gonna get rid of the problem stuff, the problem controls that are there, because we actually replace them. Everything then is computerized, you pull it up on an iPhone, set your time schedules, resolve your problems. We monitor the alarms. If it has a problem with a piece of equipment, it sends it to us and or anybody that the county designates. And then we work with them. There's no charge for the phone calls. There's no charge for the responding to the alarms. We make our money on the installation. On that topic, if we cannot get the system to, number one, make its own payments, and I'll get into that in just a second, make its own payments, and pay for itself back in 5 years, then I will come back and explain why not, why or why not. So 5 years is a litmus. If the payback is more than that, I'll be able to explain why. Probably walk away from the county. Whatever you're doing, do your job, keep doing it. Keep us in mind if anybody asks any questions. Salute. If it's less than that, we'll tell you what's going on that you could probably maybe even fix with us. So it's the first shot is called a feasibility study. It's a fire from the hip approach, shotgun modified joke approach. And the idea is to say, is this a candidate? Are we going to be able to help this county or this jail or this or whatever? If we can, we will tell you. If we cannot, we will tell you. So what I've given you is, and this goes on forever. In 50 years, the system will still be operating. The monitoring is still free. We don't even charge for travel. If we have to come out and help on-site maintenance or whoever you dictate to do the basic maintenance, there's no moving parts, by the way, so this stuff lasts forever. But if we do have to come out, we don't bill for the travel, provided that we can get into the system remotely and at least try. And so you'll be able to get into the system remotely. If you need a temperature change, you don't call Arizona or Arkansas or Texas or someone. You walk up, you change it. If you're in an area where you can't change it, you just pull it up on your phone and change it. So all of these things are very simple to use. So here's a description of what we do. The second green page is I don't know if I sent that to you or not. The second green page is what we're doing versus what everybody else is doing. Your Honeywells, Johnson Controls, your Trains, they are manufacturing what's called a direct digital control system, a DDC system. We are not that. And the bid specs will say CTC so that you don't get somebody coming in here selling you something that we're not. Okay? All right. This is a list of the current commercial and county and government, other government customers that are willing to take phone calls. This changes from time to time as people call us and say, hey, listen, I'm getting a lot of phone calls, take me off the list for a while. Or, hey, this is working great, why don't you put me on the list? There's also a couple on here, I'm going to let you find them, that are currently, we're handling some issues with them. It happens to be, I'll give you a hint, Anderson County has a relatively serious problem with simplex alarms in their jail. It has to do with fire alarms, and the reason is they've been purchased by Johnson Controls, and they are not treating them well. We're certain that we've got Johnson Controls backed into a corner where they have to resolve their fire alarm issues. But talking about that too much would betray their confidence. If there's an existing direct digital control system, and I've looked around, I don't believe there is, then your savings generally are more towards the 40 to 50%. All right, now we're talking about a 1 to 2 year payback, if that. All right, but since you don't appear to be direct digital control, I'm seeing timers everywhere, usually for exhaust fans, And then there might be even one central air handler or two central air handlers in here treated, maybe even a boiler chiller. I'm kind of good at this. Then you're looking at about a 25% reduction in energy units. So if the more expensive energy costs you, the better I look. So I'm looking at a 25%. And if not, again, I'll explain to you why we could or could not. All right, so no expectations there. Again, there's a newsletter about 50%. Warren County Justice Center has done very well. Warren County Justice Center was actually told that they were going to have to replace a bunch of mechanical equipment. We went in and pulled out the controls because that's where the problem almost always is. And so we put in our temperature. And then on the last is a quick note about the feasibility study. And then, again, no cost to the county for me to do the study. I'll come back with good news, bad news. And then I brought one of these. This is kind of interesting. I'm actually going to go over there right now after I leave here and get on him a little bit. But Max Heinrich over at Hillsborough Schools bought our system in 2001. It's still in there. And his savings are phenomenal. Not only that, but we have intervened many times at no cost to the district or any of our customers. We have intervened many times when mechanical contractors come through and try to sell them all new equipment. Like, well, what's wrong with the equipment here? We also supervise their repairs. If you've got a system that's leaking a refrigerant, and they say, well, we called mechanical and you had to squirt some juice into it. Well, wait a minute, hold up. Why? Where did it go? Fix it. Fix the leak. And what do you know? You get another 10 years out of the compressor because you don't have to squirt gas in it. Squirt gas in it every year. So these kind of things we watch over. We have our customers, our successful customers that are willing to cooperate with the first call program. They call us first. We tell them to call mechanical if in fact they need to, or whoever, you know, maintenance, in-house maintenance, or remote mechanical, a plumbing company that does the heating, air, et cetera. So there's that. I'll leave one of those. The other one I'm going to take to him. He's so confident in that system, and we've had such good luck. He's actually stopped sending in utility bills to us, which is how we find out something's misbehaved. Well, it's been a couple of years since he sent it to us, so I'm going to go over and get on him right now. But that's just down the road at the school. Be happy to demonstrate a system, but the idea is the feasibility studies just fire from the hip. Here's all I need to do it. Follow the meter down. If the meter here does here in the sheriff's office or here in the jail, then we look at everything that the meters control or regulate or govern. So what I would need, all I would need, is 1 year's worth of utility bills. Face copies, I'll do the math myself. So just 1 year, most recent years of gas, electric, demand, propane if you've got it, you know, transport, which counties don't have transport. But anyway, all the utility bills for 1 year. I'll do the math. I'll come out and then I'll look at the facility. If you could have just somebody show me around for an hour or two, again, fire from the hip. I'm not here to take a bunch of time, take a bunch of resources. So just a real general look, fire from the hip, and then come back and report to you on what I found.
And that's all at no cost.
That's all at no cost. The very first cost will be the purchase of the system, and there will be no doubts. By that time, feasibility study, preliminary engineering, which I do in-house if you guys look like this is something that would benefit, and I come back and everybody agrees that it would benefit. Then the final engineering, which I bring an engineer out and we kind of look really hard into things. Then you'll have a final number. This is what we expect to save. This is what the system will cost, and this is your payback range. And this is your savings range. This is what you can do with the money. You've got these things that look like they need to be repaired. You can use that savings out of month 4 and fix that. You know, you'll have a pretty detailed plan of what it is we can do. You'll have an exact cost of what it is that will bid, so that you'll know. I mean, that's all done, and still at that point there's no cost. At that point then, if there's still an agreement to proceed, then the next thing is the very first time you'll have a cost, and that'll be the purchase of the system. In service, our customer spends less than 1% of the purchase cost a year, and that's even after 50 years, after mechanical changes and building changes and wing additions and things like that. Because the equipment that we install today is the same, is compatible with the equipment that we installed in the mid-1980s, and it'll forever be compatible. Sure, certain things upgrade, but you're not punished for that. There's no mandatory upgrades. There's no maintenance contract. And the reason we could do no maintenance contract just because two reasons. We train your people to service, if there are people. We don't bill for the travel to get out here, if we can get into it through the internet, and I'll work with IT on that. But the biggest reason is we can do this without a maintenance contract because there's no guaranteed savings. That's a scam. And we don't participate in the bull. Everything is matter of fact, straight up, this is what we expect to do. At that point in time, then, we'll be far enough down the road, you'll either trust me or you won't. I've given you my list of customers. If they change, I'll get you another list. Like I said, they change. People change their minds.
As you mentioned, air chillers, air handlers, steam heat or water heat, whichever. What does your system basically do? Is it all on timing? Is that the big thing?
Okay, you're getting into the nuts and bolts. I didn't want to take your time, which is why I didn't go into that. To answer the question, the chiller is a high demand device. When that chiller's on, it needs to stay on. Okay, so what you do is you look all around the building and you justify the need for that chiller. A justification can come from one commissioner meeting that's the only thing in the building. That might warrant turning it on. You get a bunch of people out here that get upset with you, and now you got a problem. Okay, so that might justify it, but otherwise it may not. You may need 3 or 4. So there's an electrical load calculation on energy, plus a wear and tear calculation, which comes from the specs on the unit, on the chiller unit. This is what justifies. This is how much artificial heat load you have to warrant running this chiller. Otherwise, it does this. It short cycles. It draws too much current, overheats, things like that. So the computer puts all that together and determines when to put that chiller on. And it may be that if you have a commissioner meeting and you absolutely want that on, then it's also got to heat 7 other zones to make sure that the chiller operates within design specs. So it does all of that. As far as how, you just have a slide and you adjust it what you want. You can get on and change the schedule. Just pick up the nearest device, log into the system, change your schedule. We have commission meetings from this time to this time. The building first floor's in business for this time to this time. Basement's not used except for these times. So you tell it all of that.
So your system's really just studying what the needs are.
That's correct.
Okay.
Continuously. Even in the middle of the night, it knows when to turn on ahead of time. It builds histories on temperatures, dew points, outside, sun position, things like that. I don't need to eat this because they're going to occupy it in 2 hours, but in 30 minutes that room's going to heat up by itself. And if it fails, then it fires the heat. But these are all things that it puts together. It's the only system that does.
Yeah, there's 2 different systems here that we got. We got one here for the courthouse, and we got all separate unit rooftops over there. So that's
not a problem.
That's 2. Yeah, I know that's easier over there, but this one.
This is easy too.
Well, yeah.
This is all we do.
You're doing just the time study
Well,
and load study.
Yeah, we will control every single thing. Instead of telling this air handler we would like cool, we will turn that fan on. We will do what we need to do with valves or water, et cetera, to temper the water to make sure we don't shock the chiller. We will then turn the chiller on. We will make sure the chiller performs properly. And then once the chiller water temperature is down to a certain temperature that we know is well below the wet bulb temperature or the dew point in the building, we will then open that valve for cooling. If something doesn't work like it's expected to work, we throw the alarm. And we get it full, and then we call you going, you mind checking that chiller? Go hit that button or whatever.
Okay.
So it controls everything, and we get rid of everything except the devices and the safeties. You still need the fan, but you don't need all the relays and crap that came with it because they're probably going to fail anyway. That is it. It is everything about everything.
Well, what do you think? I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to have it use a survey, so.
Sounds like a feasibility study would be appropriate.
I think we might as well pursue at least Riley though.
Okay, who should I contact?
As far as,
probably the clerk for the utility
Yeah,
bills, but
correct.
then as far as maintenance, who would show me the building?
well, I think through her, she'll tell you.
Wonderful,
Okay.
wonderful.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much. She's got my card. Let me throw a couple things on the ground first.
Okay. Have a great day, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Thanks.
patient, I appreciate it.
No, not a problem. This is what I do.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'll open
Nice
it
to
up
meet
to
you,
the
sir.
public if anybody has anything to say. Hearing none. Randy, anything else?
Not right now.
Okay. Mr. Jantz?
No, thank you.
Tina? Make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Randy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.